Pan-Africanists, I need to talk to you. And my Nijis, my indigenous Nijis, I got some goodies for you. Listen up.
Look at old newspapers, as old as you can find, and you'll find that whites were also slaves in America. The Irish slave trade began when James II thousand Irish prisoners as slaves to the New World. His proclamation of 1625, which you can go back and see, required Irish political prisoners be sent overseas and sold to English settlers in the West Indies. From 1641 to 1652, over 500,000 Irish were killed by the English, and another 300,000 were sold as slaves. And then there was intentional breeding, and there's no better word for it than that, of Irish and African slaves.
In an effort to fuel the flames of the false narrative of superiority of those of a much lighter hue over those who are darker, the historians are even in on it, saying, oh no, the Caucasians were not enslaved. No, people from Britain, Ireland, and all. No, that's a false narrative. No, they're trying to hold on to every shred of superiority and supremacy that they can, instead of just telling the truth, keeping everything 100, and treating everyone as though they're equal. And the oh so false narratives of the out of Africa theory. That's all it is a theory, because the Africans that were enslaved here in the Americas were actually already here in the Americas prior to colonization, meaning before the Europeans came over here and colonized America. Proof that we are two completely different people. As I've stated before, you see the Yamasee and the Jamasee people, those were described as being the Africans. They were of a dark complexion. Now, understand that this is prior to everybody mixing, okay? They were much darker than us indigenous people here in the United States. Please pay attention. This is extremely important. As you can see here, it clearly states that the Africans were scattered throughout North and South America, okay? They mixed in with our people, okay? And it clearly states that they were immigrants from Africa who were here prior to European discovery, which is European colonization and slavery. In fact, there's a completely different description for the indigenous people, and we are called the American Indians, okay? It says that we have brown skin and copper-colored skin, and we also have reddish complexions. We are two completely different people. The Africans and those of us who were already here prior to colonization and slavery, we were here, and many of us were not even enslaved. In 1831 in Portsmouth, Ohio, many of the melanated residents were expelled under Ohio's discriminatory black laws. During 1804 and 1807, when we were said to be enslaved, black laws were created by Caucasians, which discouraged melanated people's migration to Ohio. Slavery was not permitted in the 1803 Constitution. The 1804 law forbade melanated residents in Ohio without a certificate that they were free. The 1807 law required a $500 bond for good behavior. If black codes were enforced on melanated people who were free in the early 1800s, isn't slavery said to have been intact even in 1865? So how did we establish towns already? How were black laws able to be enforced, telling us we can't travel here, we can't go there, we can't do this, we can't do that? My point is that it's extremely impossible for one group of melanated people to be enslaved over here and another group to be expelled from their land, to have their land stolen from them, to have black laws placed upon them in the early 1800s, telling them that they cannot travel here to this place and they can't travel here to that place, and them bombing our towns. Now understand, all this is going on while people are still enslaved over here. It was the Africans who were enslaved over here. And then, of course, again, some of the indigenous Nijis who accepted Christianity and ended up becoming docile and compliant, which is exactly what those from Britain said that they were looking for the reason why they actually enslaved their own people. Once our people accepted Christianity, then they ended up being subjugated. Meanwhile, the Africans were actually enslaved still here in America, but us indigenous people were actually free people. Let me tell you something. I am all for 9 ether beings all over the world, from South Africa all the way up through Europe, Antarctica, wherever we may be. I'm all for us. I love you all. We're all family as far as I'm concerned. But I do have a question for the Pan-Africanists. Those of you who are here in America, we have our own fight. You're fighting for them over there, and they seem to have things more organized with Malema being in charge. But over here in the United States, we need help. We need your help. We need you to wake up to who you really truly are. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of the Schneider Act? The Schneider Act gives us indigenous people here an opportunity to claim our true identity as Indians. We can even get paid under it. Let me tell you something, American Pan-Africanists. And I'm talking from North America to South to Central to the Caribbean. This ain't no joke. We are the indigenous people here. Why was I able to get this ID? Do you see what it says? Huh? Under the Schneider Act, you are able to claim your true identity as being indigenous, as being the American Indians. Huh? What does that say?
If I am not an Indian or indigenous to the Americas, do you think I would have been able to obtain this ID?
This ain't no damn game. This is who we are. This is our identity. And while I stand with Pan-Africans, and I'm about liberty and freedom and justice for all 9 ether beings, we have to take care of ourselves and each other here in the Americas first. They got this over there in Africa. They're taking care of themselves over there. We got to take care of ourselves for a change. Claim your true identity. You're an Aborigine.